Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5x3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5x3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to 5x3 Radio. Last time, I was just saying to Rebecca, I called us 5x3 Training, which I know is the gym, but this is the podcast.
They're basically the same. An extension of the gym.
5x3 Radio. So we are back. I'm actually really sore today. I don't know why I'm so sore, but I did my training session this morning, and I'm like, whew, I feel my glutes. Today's session. We thought, since this has kind of been a big news cycle for strength training for the older, more mature individual, we would talk about training for, I don't want to say seniors, but training the older master athletes.
Athletes of aging.
Our friend Dr. Sullivan has been in the news quite a bit lately. Sully owns Gray Steel Strength and Conditioning out in Farmington, Michigan. But basically, I say just Detroit. And he had recently, there was an article in the New York Times about his gym and the seniors, the master athletes that he trains there. And then he was on CNN, and then he was on Good Morning America, just like last week.
He's been everywhere.
I don't know how he's getting all these, these deals, but I want in on it. And showcasing his awesome lifters who are training there. So why is it important for us to strength train, and why is it even more important for us to strength train as we age, in our 50s, in our 60s, in our 70s? Rebecca and I both train clients who run the gamut of ages. Definitely my population at the gym is, I say the average age is probably now 50, maybe. Maybe not that. I've got people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, of course. So they're across the board, but why is it now? What has changed? What is happening in our society that we are now seeing more and more articles, and it's been like this for the past couple of years, coming out in favor of older adults strength training. And we're not talking about like silver sneakers kind of stuff. We're talking about like picking up weights, whether it's dumbbells, barbells. Of course, we like the barbell. But why is it important? Why should we think about this as we age? Why should we try to encourage older adults to begin a strength program if they haven't started one, if they haven't been going to the gym, if they haven't been doing this? What's the purpose? Rebecca?
You're asking me. I thought you were asking hypothetically.
Audience.
Well, good questions. And everyone should be asking themselves these questions.
Lots of questions.
I think, maybe, I don't know, 5 years more ago, you started hearing more from different clients or medical professionals talking about the importance of maintaining muscle mass, maintaining or building bone density. And I think, that people are starting to hear that more often from their healthcare providers, or at least, clients that have found me have indicated that their healthcare providers are giving them that message. It's coming through more clearly. Like, for instance, Leticia, who we interviewed a couple months ago, was telling me she just switched to a new gynecologist who was talking to her, new patient intake, and was talking to her about the importance of strength training, and specifically said, I am not talking about high reps with a low weight.
Good for them.
And so I don't know how Leticia keeps finding these great doctors,
awesome.
But she does.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think there's a lot of fitness professionals like Dr. Stacy Sims and others who are getting that message through, and it's breaking through the other noise for people.
Yep.
And I think people are starting to feel the effect of being maybe more sedentary. Like work from home is fabulous,
Yep.
but the amount of movement that a person gets in their life when they're doing work from home, remote work, is so much less. Even just getting up and moving around during the day, walking from one meeting to another. And when you eliminate even that little bit of movement and stress to the body, I think I'm thinking people just feel worse from having not
Yes.
even moved that amount. And so they're looking for something, and it's kind of all of those things coming together all at the same time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I know that 5 years ago, I mean, and I say 5 years ago because I can still see it right before COVID hit. I did a presentation at the Pratt Library here near in my neighborhood, and I had a few people come in to listen, and the presentation was on just that, how, why strength training is important for us as we age. And I had a woman who came and she wanted to get started and she was all ready to go. And then bam, COVID hit. But there was that push then, I could see kind of the light. I had people at the gym who were training. I had a lot of older clients. I was gaining more older clients. Sully's gym had opened up probably like 2016, something around there, 2015. He did his book tour in 2017, The Barbell
yeah,
Prescription.
yeah.
So around that time, it was gaining momentum. It was gaining momentum. It wasn't where it is now, but after 2020, certainly more and more articles started coming out about the importance of strength training. And I see it as, people are living longer. I mean, we are basically living longer. Our life expectancy is far beyond where it was, how many years ago. So people are living longer. They want to live better. People might be retiring earlier, right? And want to live better. So that sense of independence and capability and confidence in your body as we age and we start losing muscle mass, which unfortunately we start losing at around age 30, 35. Bone density for women, we start to lose around 40. We don't realize that because they tell us that we're not supposed to get a DEXA scan until age 65, except, then we fracture something and break something when we're 40 and find out we have osteoporosis or osteopenia. Hopefully it's not osteoporosis, but osteopenia at age 40 already. If we hadn't had that break, what would have happened if we all of a sudden we get to 65, 70 and we actually break a hip and they discover that it's beyond where it was. So the thought of the fact that people are living longer, that people are doing more, that people are retiring later, that women are doing more, that and we are doing. There's finally more research being done. I think more research needs to be done on women and women's health. Um, there's so much that we're discovering now, and it's almost like we need to play catch up. A lot of women are trying to play catch up with that. I mean, I include men too in this, but for females, who don't often think of weight training as something that is for them because it has been said to us over the years, we don't want women shouldn't have muscle, women shouldn't have, which is so far from the truth because muscle is so needed in our bodies for everything that we do, especially as we age. So the fact that actually when we're in our 60s and 70s, that's where we should be trying to eat more protein and build muscle because we are losing it so quickly. It goes against everything that everybody says to you. So that's why you have so much information kind of being thrown at you all the time. How do you sift through all that, the noise about what is good, what is not? And it is really good that more and more articles are coming out about the importance and the benefits of strength training for older people because usually you just see the young people at the gym, right? And many older people don't want to be in the gym with those young people because they don't know what to do. They don't know what the right exercise is for them. Is this good for me? Is it safe for me? Is it even beneficial for me? And of course, we can say yes, but that's because we know. Uh, but they don't know. So all these articles can come out. How do people now, decide that, okay, if they're saying this is right for me, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
What's the next step in doing this? And I think that's where we as coaches have to kind of broadcast that, like, us.
Mhm.
We're here for you, and how do you differentiate what we do from those fitness classes, those quote unquote senior classes at the Y? Well, why is the silver sneakers class not enough for me? Well, right. Because that's not in the articles. When they talk about this, they're not talking about those classes. I mean, you have to just read the New York Times article about Sully's gym to see this is nowhere near a silver sneakers class. No one's sitting down unless they're resting,
Yeah, well, in between your sets.
right, in between your sets.
Oh.
Yeah. And people always wonder, like, if someone would come by the gym and see people sitting around, what kind of gym is this? Everybody's just sitting on their butts all the time. But they catch them in between all the work that they're doing. But there's a reason. And, that's something, go into another point. But I see the independence um, theme really becoming the forefront for many people, right? Not wanting to fall, and if I do fall, being able to get back up, or if I fall, not breaking something, because a fall can certainly lead to, loss of self-confidence if the fall is not followed up with doing something about it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like you talk about like just information about the importance of strength training being more readily available to people, but there
Hmm.
needs to be some sort of internal cue that gets them from the point of consuming just
Right,
information to actually taking action.
right,
And a lot of times it's something that is emotional or, maybe they experience a fall or something along those lines that frightens them and gets them going. But like then on the other side of it, there's like the reward for having, and a lot of times it's not just like the building the muscle or showing up every however many years for your DEXA scan to find out that, oh, I've maintained my bone density, or I've improved my osteopenia.
right.
Now it's not so much of an issue. And those are certainly motivations that I think um, are influence older clients more than they do clients in their 20s and 30s. But also just that emotional connection, like you're talking with the independence. So it's similarly to when you get a woman started with strength training at any age, and she sort of discovers this sense, this feeling of like, oh my God, I didn't know my body could do this. I've
Right,
never picked up anything that heavy in my life.
right.
And this feeling of confidence, and a feeling of being able to do things that maybe they've been told they haven't been able to do, is something that is the reward at the end, that is a very personal motivator. For older individuals, there's a similar kind of reward, an emotional, deeply felt reward that is not just that, oh my God, I didn't realize my body could do this. My friends' bodies can't do this. They're in their 70s and 80s and they have a hard time getting up out of the you know, easy chair or whatever,
Right.
need help. But also, that confidence and that sense of independence and being able to continue to do things and lead an active life. So that can be the reward at the end. Loss of that, or the beginning of the sense of a loss of that, a lot of times is the motivator for people to get into the gym as they get older. So there's always so much. I mean, it's just so interesting when you watch somebody getting started with strength training who hasn't got a background in strength training, who maybe wasn't on the football team or on a sports team when they were in college and didn't have exposure to strength training prior to getting started.
Hmm.
This sense of, awe and wonder at what they're able to do, at what they're capable of. And sort of shattering their own stereotypes of themselves and their abilities, and just this learning process of how much of this. I mean, whatever. A lot of times people have these stereotypes. Oh, a bunch of meatheads in the gym lifting heavy things, blah, blah, blah. That's not who I am. But you get in there and you start doing it and you realize how much of it is thoughtful and precise, and how much of it is mental, like how important your self messaging is, whether you can finish your set or not finish your set based on your self talk
Yep.
sometimes.
Yep.
We just went through this past week with one of my 70-year-old women who was just like, oh, I can't do this. And you could see that she was psyching herself out mid-set, and just learning about that mind body connection that exists with the strength training, learning how to do something new, how great that is for your brain, continued learning, the brain being elastic and making those new whatever synaptic connections, and just how good strength training is for people. And they start to realize that once they get going.
Yeah.
You can read it on paper, you can read it in an article, but once you experience it, you kind of get a taste for it. It's a
Yeah.
whole other level
Yeah. And
understanding.
I just had one of my clients, one of my younger clients, I was talking to her. She'd been back, she was away for like vacation, and then she was sick for a little bit. So we were chit-chatting at the gym, and it was just us because it was towards the end of the night. And she said to me, who do you enjoy working with the most, of like your clients? And I said, well, I always, I love working with my dancers, of course, the few dancers that I have. It's always fun. They're easy. They're fun to work with, to watch them get stronger, without, getting too big, as unfortunately dancers, that myth prevails. But I said to her, I was like, but really, I said, who do I love working with the most, and who do I want to continue to work with? My older clients. And when I say my older clients, I'm talking about my people who are 60 plus. They are the most fun to work with. They're the most rewarding clients to work with. And they are, you definitely feel, you feel needed, you feel wanted. You feel, you see the change in their mindset and the confidence in themselves, and how they walk around the gym and load their bars and load their plates and are very meticulous about recording their information, and then interacting with each other, and watching each other, and telling each other what to do, and helping somebody else with, who's new. It's a it's on a whole other level. You can't explain it. And there's so many people who don't want to work with that population because they're not athletes. Yes, they are athletes. They're just older. I mean, they're, as Sully likes to say, they're age, athletes of aging. Older people are just people who have lived longer. That's it, right? They can learn how to deadlift. They can learn how to bench. They can learn how to squat. They can learn how to press. They can drag stuff. They can carry stuff. They can push the prowler because you just tell them to do it. It's not like you ask them and ask permission. No, you just tell them, go push that. And you say, push it down and push it back. And they decide how far they want to push it, depending on what they're able to do that day. And then the next time you see them push it, they're going further. And you say to them, you pushed that prowler further today than you did last time. And they kind of go, I did. Yeah, because I can. So of all the clients I enjoy working with, it is my older population because they need it so much more now than in a sense we do, right? We've been training, you and I have been training for a long time. I've been at the gym since I was 18, but I really started to strength train, by my, early 30s. Now I'm training people who are starting this for the first time at age 70. And the change in their mental, you know, awareness of who they are, not just like their physical, but the confidence, the independence, the sense of, I can do more now. And the realization that when they do more, they actually kind of pay for it. If they'll walk a longer distance, and then why was I so sore from walking? I've been doing this. I said, but do you walk? No, I don't walk. I used to. Well, now you have to start walking again in order to not, because you are able to do more. So then you do more, but anything you do that's new to your body, you're going to have to learn to adjust to it. And it makes sense to them. I had a client who said just that. I was really sore from walking. I said, well, do you walk that off? Do you walk anymore? No, I don't. I used to. Well, maybe you need to start walking again. Okay, I think I do.
Mhm.
And the reason she did that was because she felt able and capable to do more. But then you have to adjust to that, right? I mean, I was away this weekend. Diego and I were in Pittsburgh this weekend. And, first day we got there, we walked 22,000 steps. I was dead. My legs were spent. I was so sore. I don't walk 22,000 steps in a day.
So Emily, I was thinking we went out on the boat yesterday. We have like a little power boat,
Hmm.
speedboat, whatever. And I do not like to go on it very much because I don't like to go fast. I am not an adrenaline junkie.
Hmm.
And they promised me they weren't going to go fast. We just kind of like,
Right.
went out on the water, enjoyed the water, whatever, whatever. But it's like usually when I'm in there, it's like somebody's tubing or wakeboarding, and I hate moving at that speed.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anyway, even at the speed that we were going to make it back after we'd been just sort of tooling around, I went out to walk the dog this morning and I was like, huh, my abs feel kind of funky.
Because
Like
you're
they might be
Bryce.
more. Because I was like,
Yeah.
I was like the whole way back, I was like holding so tight because we were bouncing around and I was scared and like
And we
not
don't
an
realize,
adrenaline. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
we
it's
don't, we
absurd.
don't, we don't realize that. We don't realize that but so that there's a kind of that catch 22, like all of a sudden I have the ability to do more. So then I do more, but then I'm sore from doing more. Yes, that's okay. You might be sore from something you did that you normally don't do, like walk a bunch of stairs because now you feel confident to walk those stairs. You have to, it's like you have to NLP everything. Any little thing that you do differently, it's like, I got a novice linear progression my going out on a boat, got a novice linear progression my climbing the stairs. I mean, but so you tell someone that and you're like, I was really
Really, it's like
sore.
novice linear progress my fear.
Everything. You have to linear progress everything because you can do more and then so that you push yourself more. um I love talking about Mona because Mona is such a great example of, like, here she's 87 years old. She'll be, she started with 2 years ago, and the difference between Mona 2 years ago and Mona now is literally night and day, where she went out the other day to dinner at night with two friends by herself. She
Nice.
drove herself to the restaurant, she drove herself home at night. She's 87 years old. She doesn't do that. She went to a wedding last year that she was not going to go to because she figured there's no way I can attend a wedding. I don't know what the terrain's going to be like. I don't know. She had no problem. She danced all night, right? She was the life of the party because she started doing something. She started doing this. She started squatting. She started pressing a dumbbell over her head. She started picking up something. I mean, she just started to use her body, and now all of a sudden the body responds to that. She Months ago she went shopping, all hour for hours at like the mall or something, and she was exhausted when she came back. She's like, I can't do my workout session. Fast forward to like a few months ago where she did the same thing, and she's like, I'm tired, but let's go. I'm ready. So she's already past that now, where she can be out all day, be tired, but still have the energy to, this is important to me. I know I need to do this because she's progressed.
Yeah, and also though, I think that some of that probably is a result of increased confidence in what your
Mm-hmm.
body is able to
Mm-hmm.
handle.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a lot of people that their body gives them a sensation and it causes some level of concern. Like I'm tired or I'm sore, therefore I can't.
That's right.
And realizing like, okay, I've been a little tired before and still been able to do my workout or my
Right.
lift, or I've been a little sore before and still been able to do the lift and
Right.
it's fine.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a new client who's been with me for a month. She's the aunt of one of my members, and she's 76. And little by little, I hear this and this, like, I was wearing these little heels, these little sandals the other day, and I felt so confident in them. I had better balance. And she came to me as a result of a fall. She fell, she got scared. She's like, I gotta do something. You're right. Because she had come to me to see me before, but nothing Nothing happened after this the first time. Now it's been a month. She's in it. She's here twice a week. And then she told me, that she went to her doctor and, she suffers from a bit of depression and how much better she feels after she's come to the gym. And she never noticed that either before. And she used to belong to the Y. Most importantly, she said, I like this. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do. And that's something that you hear a lot of people say too. They weren't sure about it. They weren't sure that they were actually going to enjoy themselves, because
Well,
this was like a different space. It's not an environment that they're used to. And then all of a sudden they like the fact that they can write things down, they record, they have to
mhm,
pick things up, move things. There's a lot of brain work that goes into it too. So you're not just there picking up weights, but you have to load that bar yourself. You have to unload it. You have to add more weights to it because you're warming up. You have to keep going back and forth between the bench and the bar and the rack and your book. And there's a sense of accomplishment at the end. It's like,
mhm.
close the book. I did it today. I did my work and I can feel it. I can feel the difference in myself. Uh,
It's funny because it's like initially, if you haven't got background or experience with any sort of strength training or specifically with barbells or whatever, there's maybe a big adjustment period in the beginning, getting used to the equipment, getting used to the gym setting, getting used to those exercises or the movements or how
yes,
the exercises get progressed. But once you get through that adjustment period, it's a lot more predictable and stable than what you're going to find if you go to a Silver Sneakers or group fitness
absolutely.
class. You go to those classes, and the goal is not necessarily to get you stronger. The goal there is to entertain you and to cause you to want to come back. And so the big ways that that happens are by throwing different exercises at the participants. So you never know what you're going to experience. So if you do actually have insecurities about moving in particular ways, that I would argue
Right.
is a harder thing to do, not necessarily more beneficial, but harder because every time you go in there, it's like, I don't know, they're going to ask me to do some exercise. Am I supposed to choose a light weight, a heavier weight? How many reps are we going to do? I don't know what dumbbell to pick up, right? So there's a lot more um, anxiety provoking decision making that could go into a Silver Sneakers class or a group fitness class, depending on the instructor. Then once you get into the barbell training, you know going in that day, okay, today's going to be my heavy squat day. And so you get through that period and it's a lot easier. The other way that a group fitness class is going to sort of encourage participation is by tricking you with soreness into thinking that it was
That's
effective.
right. That's
And
right.
so that is not necessarily beneficial or, proven to build any kind of strength
Right.
whatsoever. It's just your muscles being ill adapted to whatever the instructor decided to throw at you that day. But then what happens and the way they sell it, and we both know because we've both been there on the selling side of this,
Yep.
you go in there and be like, okay, you might feel a little sore tomorrow. That's just going to remind you that this is worth it. And so then the person has a cue the following day that triggers the thought about the class. And they've got this false notion that, oh, I'm sore. I must have built strength or I must be building muscle. I should go back again because I'm sore. It is effective, which is not true.
No.
Anyway.
Speaking of sore, this is like an offset, but I had a client email me and telling me that his hamstrings were sore from the other day. He finally learned how to RDL, like
Oh, well,
like
there
a
you go.
legit Romanian deadlift, right? Where
Mhm.
you, if those of you who RDL, you lower the bar. It's kind of, I always say it's it's the end of the deadlift. You're lowering the bar back to the floor, except with the RDL, you don't lower it all the way to the ground, and also you have very little knee bend, right? It's much more. It's a more hamstring, glute, low back dominant exercise. So yes, you should feel your hamstrings. I don't feel my hamstrings when I do RDLs because as a dancer, I think they've been, who knows what the hamstrings have done over the years. I can touch my hands to the floor and I feel a stretch, but that's about it. So I don't get sore, but many people I know, especially men, get sore doing RDLs. And this was a legit RDL. And it was like, Concern, why are my hamstrings sore? Should I be doing something to correct this? And I'm like, nope, congratulations. You learned where your hamstrings were. You learned how to do a hinge properly. Imagine if you had done 10 reps instead of five. That's what I said. So soreness can be an indicator that yes, you actually have now done something correctly that you weren't experiencing before because you were doing a movement incorrectly. You weren't moving the right way. But soreness is not necessarily the name of the game, right? We don't want to make ourselves sore. So yes, you're absolutely right that marketing wise, when I tell people when people first start with us and we squat, we really try not to do too much squatting because I don't want that person
Yeah.
too sore. And I'll say, you may be sore. That's it though. This is the only time you're going to be really, really, really sore unless, yada, yada, yada. But the name of the game is you want to feel better than you when you walked in the door. And most people do, right? And yes, most people feel so accomplished when have finished a session because it's something they didn't think they could do, right? They didn't know they had the capability of doing it. So when you say, oh, an older person shouldn't do, that is just bullshit. There's no reason why anyone at any age cannot learn how to do a squat, a deadlift. We might have to modify the position. We might have to raise the floor up, right? Put it on mats. We might have to do a rack pull. We might have to do a modified version of the overhead press. Maybe it's a Viking press. Maybe it's a landmine press. People can do anything. You just have to tell the person, here's what you're going to do, show them, they do it, you fix them, you cue them, you coach. But the thought of like, no one over the age of such and such should, or this is bad for you, or those are dangerous for you, it just defeats the whole purpose of what our bodies were made to do.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just strange to me the notion that you would sort of categorically dismiss a certain exercise for an entire age group of people because I don't know. I mean,
Because you don't know how to do
there are
it. You don't know how to
there are
teach it.
younger people who have like issues with backs, knees, hips, whatever. You don't tell that entire age group not to do an exercise. And like you're saying, you just find the appropriate modification. And this idea, like, I don't know, but people have this idea of squatting as being somehow dangerous. But then when you start talking about it, like in terms of squat, not as an exercise, but an activity of daily
Yeah.
living,
Yeah.
like, okay, how do you sit in a chair if
Yeah.
you don't squat? How do you get up and down off
Yeah.
the toilet if you don't squat?
Yeah.
What do you mean? No, I'm just sitting on the chair. That's a squat.
Yeah. Yeah. I do that. It's interesting. It's constantly, it's teaching people how to move better, right? And we always say that, like, that's in the first month of your training, you're really learning the movements. Are you building strength? Sure, maybe. You came in with strength. I always tell people, you came in with something. We are now teaching you how to exhibit that strength via these exercises, right? And we're going to make you stronger once you learn how to move better and move in this way and move this bar in this way. Um, because you just basically are adding resistance. I mean, I can give you a kettlebell or a dumbbell or a barbell. You're adding resistance. You're producing force against this object. So when sitting in a chair, when doing a squat, why would I teach somebody how to be very upright with my knees really forward? How do you sit down in the chair? Oh, I sit like this. Well, why would you squat a different way? Why, and sense patterns. It does it. way that we normally, it's just feels more natural. Yes, it does. It does because that's how you sit. Um, yeah, it's not, we don't start, there's nothing complicated about this, right? Or a surprise what they, and
Yeah,
after what they, what the thing,
yeah, the complicated thing is not the exercises that we do in the gym with the barbell
no,
or loading the barbell. The complicated thing is getting yourself or the older person in your life that you care about to show up in the
that's
first
it.
place. As you might think, it's not as complicated or dissimilar from what you do in everyday life. Maybe there's a little more to get used to initially, but it's more predictable than what they might already be doing in a group fitness class. But how do you get that person to come in the door in the first place so that they can experience it for themselves, so they can have that sense of wonderment at what their and
Right.
amazement at what their body is able to do or capable of doing? Experience that sense of independence and capability in their everyday life. Um, so that's sort of the more complicated bit.
Yeah, that's the hard one. And it's, finding somebody who, who understands, um, you know, the hurdles that someone might go through in their head to get to
Yeah.
to get to a place where they come in to do this. It's, there's, I mean, obviously nothing wrong with just walking in the door to the Y and deciding to do a silver sneakers class or, or working with a trainer. But I've heard too many stories of people who've worked with a trainer at a gym and been very dissatisfied with what they got because they wanted to do more. And the trainer was just very dismissive of what they wanted, or they had the client do way too much on their first day, and so then they were turned off by that. And that was Moan's experience, right? She never went back because the woman took her through like 25 different exercises and basically destroyed her on her first day. And we're so, mindful of like that's, for everybody, just walking in the door and getting started and doing 3 exercises is more than enough
Yeah.
to teach somebody, hey, you can do this. This is, you belong here. So I had a new client who started with us. She's been coming up once a week from DC, and she said she was working with a trainer, and it was fine, but she wanted a program that she could do kind of on her own when she was there. So she worked with a trainer once a week, and then she had a little program to do the other day. And it, that never happened. I mean, how easy is it to say, oh, well, here, why don't you do what we do? You can do this, or here are some exercises that I'm sure you feel comfortable doing on your own, and these will, we'll do together. Never happened. So she just kind of threw up her hands, was like, I want to be able to, I can do more. I want to be able to do more. And this person's not providing me with the incentive to do more, or it's just kind of like just more like, well, I'm not working with you one-on-one twice a week, so why should I bother giving you something to do that you can do on your own? That's no, that's not worth my time. And she comes to me and she's like, I have dumbbells and bands at home. And I'm like, great. So you're coming up from DC, which is a schlep to come up to my gym. Let's see what we can put together for you so you can do something at home and then come here and do, your program here. And it's made all the difference in the world. And that was easy. I said, that's easy enough to do. Just go over a few exercises,
Yeah. So
and here's your program. And she wants to do twice a week at home and once a week up with me. No problem. You're paying for the whole package. You're paying for everything. And the more you do at home, the easier things will be in here, the more complimentary it all is. It's kind of but it boggles my mind that people are going to just, if you're not working with me twice a week, I'm not going to bother giving you something that you can do on your own, because
So
what's
I
the
guess
point?
like what I'm kind of wanting more clarification from when you're describing
Yeah,
this, when you're talking about what more is, because a lot of times people will start out doing a starting strength program and they'll want to do more
yeah,
because they think that it needs to be more complicated. What you're describing is someone who, for financial and travel reasons,
right.
is only able to make it into a starting strength affiliate or barbell type situation
Once a
once a
week.
week.
Right.
So rather than say, well, forget it, if you can't make a commitment to me of 2 times a week with the barbell, then I don't want to work with you, right? It's going to be slower progress on their LP as long as they understand that going in. Like there are so many
Yeah.
barriers to people, ones that are real ones like distance, finances, time, whatever, and imposed, like artificially imposed barriers, like their perceptions of what they're able to do, their self-doubt, whatever. If, like, why impose another barrier
Right.
on someone else saying, I'm not going to work with you? But like, I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes people say, when they start with starting strength, they're like, what, only 4 exercises?
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
not
I
so
want to
much.
do more. Like, okay, so fine, I've done your LP program for today. Now I would also like to do a 5 mile run and
Yeah, I think with this client, she
calisthenics or
was at like
something.
with this client, she was asking the trainer she had before, this is great. I'm with you once a week. I would like to do a second day on my own. Could you just help me put together a program that I can do on my own on
Mhm.
day two? Because because she understands like she can do more, and that way it'll complement the work that she does with her trainer. Trainer was like, no. I mean,
Yeah.
or said, yeah, you can do like 3 sets and do whatever. But it was nothing specific. And how easy is it to say, sure, repeat what we do on this day. Here it is, and write it down. So when she came to me, it was, I can only come up once a week, but I have equipment at home. Can I do a program at home? Absolutely, you can do a program at home. Here's what you can do: chair squats, dumbbell press, kettlebell deadlift. I mean, you can repeat all those exercises that we do at home under the very modified, load.
Hmm.
It will only complement. I mean, I have a client who comes up from Virginia once a week and she trains at home with the equipment she has. Her progress has been remarkable, considering that she literally trains primarily at home and once a week with me. And she comes in and everything is just like it's there, it clicks. The deadlift, the bench, the squat, it's all there because we train the same movements at home, just with a different piece of equipment. I have another client who's going to come in and do once a week at the gym and then once a week at home. I think I've talked about this. I have decided that once a week is absolutely perfect. Even if you don't have another program at home and you consistently come in once a week, or you train once a week and you every time you come in you add a little bit more, or you do another set, and you have to make might do get a little creative with your program as things get heavy because you're only going once a week. But I had a client who did that, and the progress she made in 1 year was outstanding. Now she's training twice a week, and it's unbelievable the progress she's making. But once a week is, if you have that, don't use it as a barrier. Don't say to yourself, well, I only have once a week, so I might as well not do anything. No, you gotta get a little more creative, but that's where a coach comes in to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the kind of the gist too, is like really try to find somebody who you're going to connect with, who's looking out for you and wants to work with you. And you can tell they want to work with you because your program is adapted to you, right? Is modified for you, but also pushes you. I'm not soft with my older clients.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, I don't, I listen to them and I hear them, then I go, okay, go ahead and you need to do another set. Yeah, okay, sure. We're going to do another set. I just, so they're, I'm not, I'm going to push people to the point where I know I can push them. right? And encourage them, because sometimes they might need a little bit of encouragement, like with my one of my clients who's benching more than she's squatting. And I keep telling her, you know, your legs are stronger than your upper body. You can bench what you can squat what you can bench, but it's all up, it's in her head, right? The bar's on her back. She doesn't, but she can bench. She can, you know, she's repping out weights that is like far beyond what she can squat. That's the mental thing. That's a mental, the mental aspect of training for some people. So, you know, being able to work with somebody and push them a little bit, but know when to pull back. You have to just kind of have to find the right person who's going to, you know, to do that with you, not baby you, not destroy you,
Mm.
but treat you like a treat you like an adult, treat you like a capable person, treat you like somebody who's you know willing and worthy to train. I mean, I don't see that I don't I there's no difference between my clients when it comes to training. The program is different. Maybe how I approach certain people because the personality is different. Other than that, everybody gets trained the same way.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking back on stuff that we've talked about, like in terms of this question about how you get a person
Yeah.
like into the gym to get started, how you get right. And so some people are more, you know, uh, academic, cerebral, readerly, whatever. So there's lots of information out there, starting strength information, other publications that a person could start reading about.
Yes.
And so if you know, knowing the person, you're talking about knowing your client, but knowing the person, the older individual that you care about and what's going to click with them, maybe some of those individuals might want to read about it a lot more to begin with. Lots of resources are out there and available for people to kind of um, think about it for a little while first. Now there's also lots of video out there. Lots of the starting strength gyms are putting out video of
Yep.
older clients doing the lifts. Any of the segments that we were talking about earlier with Sully and his Gray Steel Strength Gym, you know, showing older individuals doing the lifts. Because sometimes you need to see a role model who fits in your perception of who you are, your age demographic or male, female, whatever, to see other people doing that in order to convince yourself or the person that you're trying to get into the gym that this is possible. In an ideal world, if you're working with a coach or working at a gym where you know that there are older individuals training there, kind of connecting, making that connection between
Hmm.
person and your coach, you know, your loved one and your coach is a great way. And then I think a lot of times too, a person finds their way into a gym through physical therapy.
Hmm.
So if
Yes.
you know something, and physical therapy can be so very different in different places, and that even in the same location, different therapists' approaches can be so very different. And some are more uh, cautious or band oriented, band and lightweight oriented. And sometimes that's appropriate if it's recovering after a surgery or whatever. And then there are other physical therapists who take more of a athletic or gym approach. And if you have a physical therapist who takes that sort of more gym oriented approach with clients, regardless of age, that might be somebody that you can talk to and ask for a suggestion or a recommendation about how to get your person, your loved one who has just graduated out of physical therapy into a gym or back into a gym. Um, so those are,
Yeah.
I think, some inroads.
There are like it's if you're in physical therapy and you've read a lot of articles about the benefits of strength training, asking your physical therapist, yeah, talking to your PT, asking them what would be the next step. Hopefully, your physical therapist says strength training and
Yeah.
is able to provide you with some, you know, some possible resources. Um, if they don't,
Well, and I
but
think
I
like
think someone,
if you're the person and you're talking about like say a parent, right?
yes,
Asking questions of your parent along the way to get a feel for what type of therapist they're working with
right.
before you ask them to ask their therapist. That's kind of what, you know, like the approach I take with people that I know.
Yeah, there are a lot of a lot of adults, young adults who want their parents to get started with this so that they know that their parent is maybe doing physical therapy, helping them kind of, find the right coach or right strength program for, for them after the physical therapy is over. Um, yeah, I mean it depends on, I guess, the person who's maybe set in their ways or doesn't have somebody who can encourage them to seek out something, to do after their physical therapy is over. Hopefully the PT is somebody who's educated themselves on that. I had somebody stop by the gym this morning while I was training, and she was interested. She just came by. I didn't know she was coming by. She came in and started talking to me, and she was doing a program, Couch to Barbell. And at first, I thought it was the Barbell Logic program that she was talking about, because I think they have some type of kind of beginner program. Like, if don't have equipment, that's okay. You can start this. You can start with body weight and bands. But I think she must have done this, Casey Johnston, the woman who just had a book come out about her, uh, her journey with strength training. She's got a book called Couch to Barbell. It's couchtobarbell.com. So I think she must have done something like that, where she started with basic body weight exercises, things around the house, progressed to dumbbells, and now it's progressing to barbells. So she wanted to come in to talk more about the program that we offer, because she would like to train, with other people. So I mean, that's kind of how I started with Mona. We started with what we had, body weight. We had a box and we put weights in. So it's looking for resources or people who could kind of get you started somewhere. Um, Reaching out to people if you don't know yourself, trying to find someone who might know. Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's a neighbor's friend. I have a client who works with me because she came to me as a result of her friend's son who was talking about coming to train with me, and she was interested in getting started with strength training. So he put her in touch with me. So it can be many different ways that you can kind of figure out how to get started. Um, Obviously, articles in newspapers are great. I made a comment on Sully's article and said, "Yep, Sully's great. We do this here in Baltimore. This is where we're located." And I actually got a guy who's coming in this Saturday to get started who saw my comment in the article. So, trying to kind of, spread the word that, like, there are places around to do this. How do you, asking the right questions too. Let's say you can't maybe go to a specific gym like mine or go work with Rebecca, but maybe at the Y, ask questions, say, "I want to do this. This is what I'm interested in. Can you help me?" If they say no, you don't want to do that, that's dangerous for you, you move on to the next person. But I think sometimes just, inquiring at where you are now, like, is this something that you offer? Is this something that I could, that you could work with me on? If not, do you know of other places? I have a woman who's coming to us who inquired about what we do with her trainer. Her trainer told her to come see us. She read the article in the paper. She asked her trainer about it. The trainer said, "There is a gym that does that." So she's coming to us, and she's at the same gym with her trainer. So that was kind of nice to know that the trainer didn't just dismiss her, said, "Yeah, there is. And it's this place,
Yeah, and so that to me demonstrates two things that I think are important. First of all, is like the trainer's, I'm going to say scope of practice, but it's really more like comfort zone.
Yes,
Because a trainer just your local gym or wherever, they don't necessarily have the barbell coaching training that we have through the starting strength method or whatever. And so a trainer knowing what their comfort zone is and having enough of a network built
yes,
up to know which other trainers or coaches to refer people to. And then the second thing that I think is important that story demonstrates is knowing that just because a trainer or a doctor or a physical therapist says, no, this isn't a good idea, or no, it's not safe. If you have enough wealth of resources available to you and enough other examples of people successfully training this way, if that individual says, no, that's not safe for you, you know that that's not the final answer.
That's right.
You know that that you can and probably should seek out a second opinion. But I think a lot of times people are just a little timid in the first place to ask the question. And if the first answer they get the first time they ask the question is no, then it can, like for some people, it can just shut them down
Right.
entirely. Like especially then they feel kind of more justified in not having done anything about seeking out, serious strength training earlier because I talked to this white coat or I talked to this trainer and they said no. And so now I'm repeating what the expert told me.
Yeah.
So, as this information is more widely available and more studies are done, you're getting more and more doctors saying, no, it is important to be doing strength training, not lightweight, high rep, but significant, like, very difficult, you might not get your last rep of whatever your set of, 3 to maybe 6 reps
Yes.
in that is, and a
Yes.
weight that's significant and sufficient to elicit that sort of a response.
Yeah. We could go on, and I think we should, but we should end here.
Yeah, because I have a roofer coming.
Hey, Rebecca has a roofer coming, and I have to get to the
I got
gym.
a roofer coming.
But this is a conversation that we're going to continue to have. Because I want to talk about this more because there are other things that we didn't get a chance to talk about that need to be addressed. You started to touch on it about, someone saying no, that you can't do this, or this is wrong for you, or it is. And that's no way absolutely true. And unfortunately, doctors are still kind of, people listen to doctors. And you should listen to your doctor. I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. I listen to my doctors. It's okay. But there is the educated doctor and there's the non-educated doctor. And there is also you and your ability and you as a human being. We are all capable of moving. And we can all learn how to move better. And we should. And just because you age doesn't mean you need to stop moving and that movement doesn't matter to you anymore. In fact, it matters even more. And strength training is a huge part of that and should play a role in our lives as much as it can and as much as we're able to, to have it play a part. So we're going to end here, but we're going to come back to this subject, I think, because it's still an important subject to talk about. And it might be nice to bring on a guest when we're talking about this next time. So I know Rebecca's got a couple people that she might want to bring on. And I think I might have a few people who might be interested in talking about their experience with us. But it's always good to hear somebody who's doing this firsthand and who's made a big difference in their life.
Yeah.
To really emphasize
and
not only
to hear how they're feeling and how they're feeling differently or performing differently, but also just like what got them in the door in the first.
Yeah, because anecdotally, anecdotes are huge. Mona was talking about wanting to do another video, and she said, "But how do I do a video showing that I was able to go to dinner and get?" I said, "You just talk about it. You talk about you show yourself, and you talk about what you could do and what you can do now. It's true. You literally went to dinner on your own, drove the car there. They can vouch for it. You're not lying." Why would you lie about that? So it's very powerful. It's a very powerful message because people will say, well, I can't. And unfortunately, sometimes when people say I can't, it just that's right there. The person has already made up their mind. Mm-hmm. But if they'll say, well, let me give it a try. Can I come in and see what you do? Yes. I always tell people, come in and see what we do. Give us 30 minutes. Give me half an hour to show you the squat and show you the deadlift. And I bet you're going to want to come back. And, and they do. They often do. So we'll pick up with this conversation in another week or so. And if you've got any comments or questions in the meantime about this, something you want for us to definitely address that we didn't talk about today, you can always contact us and email me at emily@5by3.com. You can also reach out to Rebecca at
cornerstonestrengthmaryland@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to take your questions and or even just an anecdote that you want to share with us. And we'll pick back up with this topic in another week. Have a great week, everybody. It's September. Oh my goodness. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Rebecca. And we'll be back soon. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to 5x3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5x3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's F-I-V-E, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.